The letter didn't look dangerous. That's how they get you. Plain envelope, polite logo, professional tone. The kind of thing you open without thinking because you've spent your whole adult life being a responsible homeowner. I had no idea that piece of paper was about to change how I felt about my own neighborhood. Violation notice, failure to remove snow. Fine, $250. My hands actually started shaking when I read it. Not anger at first, confusion, because I knew without a doubt that I had shoveled that sidewalk. I remembered the cold biting through my gloves, the weight of the shovel, the slow, careful movements of a man whose body doesn't bounce back the way it used to. I'm 52 years old. I raised my kids here. I've paid every HOA fee on time for years. I follow the rules, even the ones that don't make sense. I don't cause problems. And yet, there it was, printed in black and white, telling me I'd failed. That morning, the snowstorm had been steady and relentless, nothing unusual for an Ohio winter. I woke up sore, my lower back tight, my shoulder aching the way it does when a storm rolls in. I could have waited, plenty of people do, but I didn't. I layered up, stepped outside while the snow was still falling, and started shoveling, slowly, carefully. I took breaks. I made sure the sidewalk was clear. I went back inside, exhausted, but relieved, thinking, that's done. Apparently, it wasn't. When I called the HOA office, I expected a conversation. What I got was a script. After sitting on hold long enough for my coffee to go cold, a woman finally answered. Her voice was flat, emotionless, like she'd said the same lines 1,000 times and didn't care who was on the other end. There was snow present at 9:17 a.m., she said. I actually laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was absurd. Of course there was snow, I told her. It was still snowing. I was outside shoveling. There was a pause, then the words that still echo in my head. The fine stands. No explanation, no acknowledgement, no room for common sense. Just a quiet reminder that I didn't matter. That moment changed something in me. I realized this wasn't about rules, it was about power. Later that afternoon, I walked my street. I took pictures, I documented everything. Other sidewalks were still covered, some much worse than mine had ever been. One of those houses belonged to the HOA board president. No notice on their door, no fine in their mailbox. That's when the confusion turned into anger, because once you see selective enforcement, you can't unsee it. And once you realize the rules only apply to some people, the entire system starts to feel rotten. I filed an appeal. I laid out the facts, I included photos. I explained that the snowfall hadn't even ended at the time they claimed I was in violation. Less than 48 hours later, I received the response. Denied. No explanation, no review, just another piece of paper telling me I'd lost. Then came the follow-up letters, late fees, interest, a warning about a lien if the balance wasn't paid, a lien over snow. That word sat heavy in my chest at night. The idea that an organization I paid every month could threaten my home over something so small made me sick. This wasn't about maintaining standards. This was intimidation, plain and simple. Neighbors started talking quietly, not in public, not in meetings, in driveways, in hushed tones. Stories poured out. Fines for trash cans left out too long, for grass a fraction of an inch too high, for decorations deemed inappropriate. Most people paid without fighting, not because they were wrong, but because they were scared, because the system was designed to make resistance expensive and exhausting. I went to the next HOA meeting anyway. The room was cold, fluorescent lights, folding chairs lined up like a courtroom. The board sat at the front, elevated, distant. When it was my turn to speak, my heart was pounding, but my voice didn't shake. I followed the rules, I said. You fined me anyway. That's not enforcement, that's intimidation. The board president didn't even look at me. The rules are the rules, he said. In that moment, it became painfully clear. Fairness didn't matter. Context didn't matter. People didn't matter. Only authority did. The vote failed. 3 people decided my reality didn't count. I paid the $250, not because I was guilty, but because fighting would have cost more. Lawyers, time, stress, sleep. They know that. That's how they win. They don't need to be right. They just need to wear you down until compliance feels like a relief. Now, every time it snows, my stomach tightens before the first flake hits the ground. I shovel like my house depends on it, because apparently it does. I watch the clock, I take pictures, I document everything, and every time I see an HOA envelope in my mailbox, my chest tightens a little more. This was never about snow. It was about learning how quickly authority can turn cruel when it isn't checked, how easy it is for good people to be punished quietly, legally, and without mercy. The snow melts, the fine gets paid, but the trust, that never comes back.